A universal app sounds great. What is the thinking here?
I think the thinking here on the part of Apple is we need to make it easier for app developers to develop products and services on the iOS platform, on the Apple platform, across all of the products that Apple supports, whether it's the Mac, the iPad, the iPhone. Right now, it's a little bit tricky to develop apps across those platforms. So the reason they want to make it easier for app developers to develop on the Apple platform is because they're trying to drive services revenue for the company. The company announced, pre-announced that weak quarter last quarter, and in large part is because the phone business continues to mature. It is no longer the growth engine for the company, and so investors are increasingly hanging their hats on the growth of the services business. So to the extent that they can drive app revenue, that'll really be supportive of that growth story.
So how much more revenue could something like this drive?
Well, it's interesting that the fastest growing part of the Apple pie right now is the services revenue. It's only about 15% of sales right now, but it's growing very quickly. And I think most investors say in a world where the phone is a mature product and is not growing. In fact, phone revenue was down in the last quarter for Apple. They really need to allocate more resources to the services business and grow that. So, Apple takes, on average, about 30% of the revenue from an app developer's service or product, and they need to continue to grow that and make it easier for app developers to develop even more services and products.
Meantime, Samsung has their big Unpacked event today. They've unveiled a whole new phone lineup, phones with 5G, lower cost options, a foldable phone. Is this lineup going to, prove to be incredibly competitive for Apple, given the variety of choice here that you don't get with the iPhone?
Yeah, exactly. I think Samsung remains a very strong competitor to Apple, particularly on the lower end of the market. And I think when you think about, Samsung has products throughout the price range, but where they're also very good is at the lower end of the price range, where Apple has not been competitive. They have not really put the resources behind a more competitively priced Apple phone, aside from the XR. So one of the products that Samsung came out today is a very high quality product at the lower end of the market that is designed to compete against the XR, and that's an area where I think Samsung feels like they have some room to grow.
How bullish are you, Paul, on foldable phones?
It's interesting. What's old is new again, and I think all the phone operators are trying to figure out, since the market is becoming increasingly saturated, they're now segmenting the market ever more finely to try to find areas of growth. And to the extent that people want, a foldable phone, Samsung thinks there's demand there.
Meantime, Apple has had a number of leadership changes, and we can look at some of these changes for signals on where they believe the future is going to be. They've replaced their head of retail, Angela Ahrendts, is leaving. They promoted the head of people to that job. They've promoted the head of AI, John Giannandrea, to the head of machine learning. Another executive, Frank Casanova, going to be focusing on AR. What signals do you take away here?
The signals I take away is they are recognizing that the future of this company is not just hardware, the phones, the iPads. It's in AI, it's in augmented reality, it's in machine learning, it's in some of the cloud businesses. So less on the hardware side of the business and more on kind of the software side of the business, big data, cloud computing. And I think that is one of the areas where I think we're starting to see them reallocate not just financial resources in terms of CapEx, but also people as well.